Welcome, 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 welcome to the HVAC Grapevine Show. I'm your host, Chris Hughes. My co host to my right, Michael Cianfranco, and my other co host, and not here.
He's a little down in the weather.
He's down on the weather. But that doesn't mean you can't be the co host with us tonight. Here's what's down the pipe. In the comments section, there is links to the show. If you want to come on the show tonight, it is open mic night. We will take you, we will talk to you, and then we will send you on your way. Your
Come
choice.
on in.
That's right. Anyway, Mike, how's your week?
Doing good, man. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, man.
Yeah,
So-
man. I wish Eric was here, but hey, he'll be back.
We're going to miss him, that's for sure. So we're going to have to keep this interesting. You know, Eric always brings that wealth of knowledge to the show, no doubt. That's right. The purity comes from Eric, which means we get to goof off all day on this
That's
show.
it.
Because Eric's not here.
The kids can hang out.
So this is the show. I've popped me a bag of popcorn for the night. I've got something to drink. And just to let everybody know, this show is for homeowners. That's kind of the geared audience for tonight. Although techs might relearn something they may have forgot, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking codes. We're talking how codes affect, the build, what to look out for. And I've kind of plucked some topics I want to discuss tonight. So whenever we want to get into some of those, you let me know.
Yeah, man. It's one thing definitely I want to tell the technicians that are tuning in, don't forget you're talking to a homeowner when you're in the house. We talk to the homeowner sometimes like we're like talking to another technician that's been in the field for 20 years,
Yep.
And, you, me, Eric, we all kind of do that, and sometimes we got to kind of pull it back. Talking to the brightest people in the industry, like Jim Bergman said that one time. He's like, I made this app, and he had it focused to where it was all what he wanted to do, and he's like, I had to pull it back a little bit and target for the technician. So,
Sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I have a similar experience I could talk about. So normally every single thing I've ever had to fix in my house, I've had to fix it myself. I'm just a person who I'm going to attack it myself. So 2 weeks ago,
I was talking about that today with somebody.
2 weeks ago, I live in an older house, and when I moved in, the sewer line that goes to the washer and dryer was kind of messed up from the get-go, and I didn't know it. Right, there was a area of the house that wasn't finished, mop sink on the back side of the house where the unfinished concrete floor was and all that. Anyway, when we moved in and we put our washing machine in, and it was old school where it used a lot of water, it would back up into this mop sink on the back side of the wall. I'm thinking, dang. So I had to, what did I do? I remember busting up the floor. It's all cast underneath the slab. So I ended up busting up the concrete.
Oh, man.
And had to put, it had an 1.5 inch line going down, and then went to 2 inch, luckily, way down into the slab. So
That's
I was
pretty good.
I was able to, which is weird, but it was there. So I was able to jackhammer that up and then repipe from 2 all the way into the wall, put a 2 inch trap all the way to, where the water goes down. And then I connected to the 1.5 inch run for the fence. Everything's been good since then. That's been probably, I don't know, 5-7 years ago, something like that. So that line connects to it runs downhill. That's kind of where my plumbing starts. It runs downhill. The next thing that catches is my kitchen sink. Then it keeps going, makes a left turn, and it catches my bathrooms to go out. That's how I see it in my mind.
Your laundry was all the way uphill?
Yeah, so it's like the first drain.
Man, and that was backing up. Wow.
Yeah, it backed up probably about, I would say, 70 feet down the line. So, you know those little fittings called a drain dog? You screw them on the end of a water hose. They swell like a balloon. They have a little slit on the end. You slide them
Oh,
down a plumbing line. They
yeah.
call
What I
it a drain.
call them, bladder bag or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have one of those. Quick story. We used to, Hughes, we used to have a plumbing division, and then we separated. Plumber started their own company. Everything worked out beautifully, but like all the plumbing gear went with them because we didn't really have a use for it. Plus, we were friends. We needed to borrow it. We just go get it. I've moved
Right.
away since then. Like I live far away from where that all took place. But so that line got clogged, and so all I had was my water hose, and so I'm running. I put a clean out exposed right behind the washer and dryer for easy access.
Yeah.
Man,
And
I
you said
ran
it was
that.
2 inch pipe.
It was, yeah, I'm trying to remember if it's 2 or 2.5. I think it's 2.
2. That's pretty good, man. Yeah.
So I'm running my water hose, and I'm running it, man, running it, running it. You can push a water hose pretty far down a sewer stack, believe it or not.
Oh
So
yeah.
I pushed it well over 50 feet, and I'm letting it swell, and the clog's not going away. I'm backing up water, and I'm taking all my towels, drying it up. It's a mess, right? And I'm thinking, damn, like all I need is a sewer machine. So it's Friday. I pulled the homeowner move, man. I made a call to a plumbing company at like 3 o'clock, and I thought, I
you
know,
you turned into a regular homeowner.
I'm like thinking, man, this is not when you call somebody. And I'm thinking, like, if I don't do this though, I can't use the washer, can't use the sink. We could bathe. That's about it. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna pay it. I'll pay whatever it is. I'm gonna pay it. So I called. They sent somebody out. Let me tell you what, excellent experience. I could get used to like paying for somebody to do something, man. But I will tell you this. I'm gonna tell you the good and the bad. The guy was excellent. He came out, rode a rooter machine. We talked. He totally understood the situation. I explained it very thoroughly. He could tell I had some experience in plumbing. So he took the advice, ran with it. And he's like, yeah, he goes, I have 75 foot. He goes, let's run it and see if we can get it. The bad news was before he got started and before we really got to talk, he was contemplating about how the line could be reran on the outside of the house.
Ooh.
And he was like, hey man, he was like,
You were
you know
puckering up.
what he yeah, well, it got my wheels thinking about a lot of stuff we've been talking about in HVAC lately. Is the guy came and he's talking about, hey man, if we should route this outside down. If this happens again, we should run it around the house. And I'm thinking, whoa, bro, whoa. I'm like, we are not there yet. Like, absolutely not there. Like, we gotta clear the drain and see where that goes. I'm like, if you pull that back and there's mud, yeah, we will talk, because you can kind of tell if you've ever ran a sewer machine.
Yeah, I used to have one.
Yeah, if you ever run it through a collapsed line, when you back pull it, you will see mud, right? You can kind of know from the appearance of the end of the sewer machine line that you just ran into mud. There'll be mud, you can just tell. That's not what happened. We cleared the line, but it got me thinking, because I had that experience, and I'm thinking, man, I clammed up because he's like, we could do this, we could do that, and I'm thinking, bro, this is way too early for that. Like, we have to go.
Yeah, if you were an AC customer, that'd be like walking in. Well, you need a new unit. Well, maybe I could fix it.
That's exactly where my mind went when this was
Okay.
happening. So I don't have any experience on being on the other side. This is like the first experience.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I blew your spot up.
Dude, you blew my catch line. But anyway,
Holy shit.
so I'm sitting here thinking, as this guy's like knocking it down, but went into that first, I thought, what's the only thing that would have made this experience better? If that guy would have just went for it first and then said, man, look, if this continues, we should reroute this bad boy. He would have had all my respect at that point, not to say he doesn't, because he did.
And you wouldn't be all guarded, right?
I wouldn't have been guarded, but my guard went way, way up.
Yeah.
Right out great. And then he had to like slowly like bring me back down. And I
Yeah.
thought that is exactly how homeowners have to feel when we go in for the kill on a unit
Yeah.
sale. You know,
Yeah.
you even
Absolutely. And the whole time he's working, trying to clear that drain line out, you're building brick by brick of what you're going to say. And you can't talk to me, you
that's
know?
right. So I know this is a homeowner show, but this goes out to the techs who are watching tonight, which is our base. You and the homeowners probably need to hear this too. If you walk up to a job and you just know that compressor's dead, and it's just like, and it looks super, super old, and you're like, what am I even doing? You gotta go the distance. You gotta troubleshoot it. You gotta prove that it's grounded or whatever, you gotta prove that it's dead
Yeah.
and go to that homeowner and then say, look, I checked it out. Compressor's dead, right? Due to the age, you can then have that conversation. But just going off appearance alone, I could totally understand how that feeling of just like, oh, what are you doing to me is happening. So
Yeah.
I gotta say that.
Yeah. No, that's big. And I apologize, man. Where's Eric when you need him?
Where's Eric? Out with the cold.
Yeah, it's like going on a date, and be like, well, want to get married?
Yeah.
It's a red flag, It's like, hey,
What ring size are you?
yeah, what you like, zirconian or regular diamonds?
You cool with sleeping in separate beds or?
I like to do it like 1940s, separate beds.
All right, man. Are you ready for this?
Let's
We're
go.
gonna start with a topic. So here's what we're doing tonight. I kind of scoured through the ICC, pulling building codes that were very just kind of easy topics to understand, and we could discuss. And if anybody's watching, you want to jump in the show, links in the notes. If it's not working, let me know. We'll figure that out. But links in the notes if you want to come in, tell your story. All right. So here we go. First one, easy one. Check this out. Airflow over the filter. Ducts shall be constructed to allow an even distribution of air over the entire filter. This is very simple to understand, right? But it could be kind of confusing in the field. So let's talk about this for a second. If you are a homeowner, what you should be trying to understand here, and there's another one that's going to follow this one that kind of ties it together. But what this is saying is, let's just say your filter is in the door and half of that filter is blocked by the door and half of it's in a return air grill and half of it's not, because it just made sense to kind of build it that way, right? This code, and here's what we're going to reiterate, code is like the minimum quality standards when you have an installation done. It's the bare minimum. It's like getting a D on your test and then going home and your parents going, hey, how'd you do? It's like, well, I made a D. I passed. We're going to the next grade, right? Like that is code.
Yeah.
Code gets you there. So
yeah, like we never, gloat about our kids and say, hey, my son, he's all D's, man. He passed. He passed flying colors,
Well, that kind of goes two ways too, because that there's that whole I've heard engineers kind of tell that joke. What do you call an engineer who passed with a D?
Oh, right.
You call him an engineer. All right. So if you're a homeowner and you're thinking, man, did I get a quality install for the money I have paid? Just a really easy one you could ask yourself is your filter. Did your filter installation process, the cabinet in which holds the filter, is all of the airflow moving through the ductwork crossing that filter, right? Or do you have a filter that's like halfway in something and some of it's sticking out? You'd be surprised what we see in the field.
We see some crazy stuff.
Right? I'll give you an example. I've seen this a lot commercially, and I've seen some of this residentially. But when you have like a slit cut into your ductwork and the filter goes down and there's like 3 inches of filter sticking up, And so a cap has been fabricated to cover that, and it's not taped or anything. There's probably a chance that someone didn't actually design filter surface area for that system. That's an afterthought.
But you know what else grinds my gears is the fact that they use the factory filter and they call it good. You know, like in my area in Florida, they'll shove an air handler in a closet, and like let's say an ICP carrier, it says filter. Okay, great. So your unit's 20 by 20, and we're using a filter that's 20 by 20. Okay, so as soon as you put it in brand new, it's like screaming. You know, it's got that little thing in the back where it holds the filter, and then the filter gets dirty and it goes boop, gets sucked into the air handler in like 3 weeks. Like that's code.
Wait,
That's good.
are you talking about the? I kind of lost train of thought, but you know those furnaces where there's like the metal bar that's bent in a U, and people shove a filter like right up under that bar, and then
Bro.
and then you always see the filter like doing this, like
Yeah.
concaving, you know, and it's like,
It's code. So homeowners, if you want to beef it up, we could do. There's a lot to do. That you could do a lot better than what these code, these D's are giving you. I mean, I like for like a quick getting out of like high static areas in my market. If you got like a 20 by 20, a 24 by 24, if you've got enough depth, I get those Amazon filters for my customers where they go deeper. They look like the Honeywells. Remember the old Honeywells?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a little step down notch. I get you up to a MERV 11,
All right, you ready? Let's go with round 2. Oh,
Ding,
hang on.
ding.
Ding, ding. All right, here we go. Let's see if it pops up. All right, so we were talking about filter sizing, making sure all the airflow goes across the whole filter, right? And making sure it didn't look like an afterthought. So let's talk about ducts for a minute, right? Specifically on this code, it says ducts installed within a single dwelling unit. That basically means like a house or an apartment or something similar, shall be sized in accordance with ACA Manual D. Now, there's some acronyms here, so let's talk about it. ACA, which is, Mike, putting you on the spot.
ACCA?
Yeah.
What's
You remember what it said?
Oh man, Ed's gonna be angry.
Come on, man, it's in there.
Dude, it's America's Contracting something, Air Conditioning Contractors Institute. No, I forget.
Air Conditioning Contractors of America,
And Contractors of America.
right?
Yeah, all right. I could see what that's going. Yeah.
All right. So what is Manual D? So Manual D is when a HVAC professional is installing the box, right? The unit that makes cold air. There is ductwork, distribution of ductwork that has to be installed to make that work properly. This is where many, many, many jobs go wrong. This is where typically most jobs fail. This is, if you're a homeowner, this is the part that you should care about the most out of everything you're going to pay for, in my opinion.
I always tell homeowners Manual D is for duct. Manual S, selection.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to drive home here is Manual S is the equipment selection. Okay. And Manual J is the load, right? So it kind of goes in this order. If you're a homeowner listening, you should have a load calculation done where you find out the size of the unit, right? The load on the house. To pick that unit, there's a process called Manual S, which is the selection process. That's how you pick the piece of equipment based on the load. Once you have that, then there's Manual D. That is the duct system that's going to work for the piece of equipment you have selected. That piece of equipment moves a specific amount of air to deliver the capacity for the load. And manual D is how you make sure you do that properly. The ACA manual D duct design. Now, how do we as contractors know how to do that? There's an ACA manual. It is the ACA manual D, right? It's a textbook. We read the textbook and it gives us basically a set of instructions to follow, parameters, shall we call it. And we follow those practices to deliver a good duct design to work with the system. And it's the hardest part.
You know,
I'll just say it's the hardest part, bro.
I don't want to get too technical. I said I wasn't going to get too technical, but bear with me. Just because you got a manual D, well, let's start at the beginning. Just because you got a manual J to pick what size AC you need, right? Let's say we did that correctly. Let's say the manual J said you need a 2-ton, you got a 2-ton, right? Move on to S, select the equipment, right? D, we do the duct design. And what happens is they build a nice duct layout, right? Everything goes smooth. But no return air path.
Oh, man. You know what?
Come on. The creator of the Roomulator over here. So I'll leave the rest to you, brother.
All right. So let me try to reel that back in for any homeowners who are watching. We just talked about J, then S, then D, right? We've built this system up. Actually, manual D does cover passive return air.
It does? Oh,
it does. It doesn't mean that it does not mean that it's in the software programs. Okay, so let's reiterate. Let me kind of catch myself for a second before I say something wrong.
Grab some popcorn, have a drink.
Manual D in the ACA manual does have a strategy for passive return air, and to cover what passive return air is. This is once the air comes out of the ductwork and lands into the individual rooms, that air still has to make it back to a central main return if you have a central main return on the air conditioning system.
Right.
To further help explain that, like Mike is in a bedroom right there. Mike's door is closed. You can see the undercut underneath his door. Right? Now, the undercut underneath the door. Oh, and he's got a grill above the door. Sorry, Mike. I was about to shoot you in the foot.
Oh, shoot.
So
I got a little bit of an undercut.
Someone took precautionary measures to make sure air gets back to his central main return that houses the filter for the system by putting a grill above the doorway. Okay, somebody sized that grill. Now, is it sized properly? I don't know. There's a method.
Yeah.
Now,
not really, but yeah.
So if you have a room that's under a lot of pressure, this could be measured. That's a problem. And you have an incomplete manual D duct design, if that is the case. So your duct system design does not just stop with the ducts if you have a central main return. It stops when you get the passive returns done too, going back to the central main return.
Yep. So if I didn't have that, and the door is closed right now while we go live, that door acts like a dampener.
All right. So just to further reiterate, so I'm not full of bull. Let's see. Where was it?
Did I jump the gun again, Chris?
Look, here we go. Return and transfer openings. Transfer openings meaning like passive returns above Mike's door shall be sized in accordance with the appliance or equipment manufacturer's installation instructions, ACA Manual D, or the design of the registered design professional. Okay, so
it's either we're on the same page or I'm just trying to just mess your whole live stream up.
So ACA does have provisions for passive return. So just so it's out there, it is in Manual D. Now, the reason the Roomulator was invented, okay, so this is for the technicians of the world who might have known caught wind of what the Roomulator is. The Roomulator is a card that we at TEC put together to measure how much passive return air strategy you need per individual room. Okay. I keep one on my desk. That's the tool. So why did that get invented? I'll tell you why. All the process we've talked about so far, manual J, manual D, manual S, return air path strategy. The return air path strategy is not institutionalized in the software programs that allow you to complete manual J, manual D, manual S, right? You can do all this by hand, but nobody does that. It takes forever, and you go broke in business doing that. Or you can pick up a program that allows you to do it. There's quite a few of them out there, but they don't have the passive return air strategy built into the program. So you got to know what the program's not offering. Right?
Yeah. So as a homeowner, it's good to know. I mean, if you're having problems in bedrooms at night, that's something to look for.
That's right. 100%. All right. Oh, we've been through that one. Hang on, Mike.
I'm going to hang on until you have the next slide up because every time I just...
All right. Let's see. I'm going to run out of material. We're just going too fast. Oh, here's a good one. All right, here's another one. So let's talk about, now this isn't common where I'm at. I rarely ever see this. Okay, this is not common practice. I've only heard about this a lot. This is not my environment. And if someone is in the show and wants to jump in and tell us more, remember the links in the chat. Pop into the show, come tell us the story, because this is not my area of expertise.
Yeah, jump on in, guys. Come on now.
So let's talk about using the stud cavity as a plenum.
Dude, I love that.
You love it? Like you love it being utilized, or you hate it?
I just love it because I feel like air conditioning is like an afterthought.
Right. I'm going to make a solid point right here. This is proof that code is a minimum standard, okay, and not like where you should be with your like don't call yourself a super high performance contractor if you build the code and stop there, and this is going to be why. Bear with me.
Better HVAC.
Here we go. Hang on. All right. This code talks about using the stud cavity and joist space as a plenum.
No, it does not. Where'd you pull this from? Alabama? Louisiana?
No, listen. Such cavities or spaces shall not be utilized as a plenum for supply air. It did not say supply and return air. I'm backpedaling for a second. I did a project with TEC not long ago where we overhauled a house. There's a video coming out on it.
Nice.
This house had a return air joist system being used as return air path.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Adam McCoy, and he was converting his X13 motor over, trying to make it a 2-stage fan profile.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I don't have a plenum. I got like cavity, like this. I was like, oh yeah, you might have some leakage, bro. You might have some leakage going to the top plate.
Oh, that's who should be man. I wish he was here tonight. He should jump in, and if he was here right now, he could totally tell this story about this situation.
Oh, so you heard about that?
Yeah, he called me because he was using the TrueFlow, and the TrueFlow was measuring low. And I said, dude, how much return leakage you got?
So that was you he was talking to.
And then, he's like, well, I have all right, so let me tell the story since he's not here to tell it. I'm just going to
hit it from the top. I'm going to text them.
All right, here comes story time. And hopefully he jumps in.
Story time.
So Adam calls me. All right, full frontal. So TEC sells a tool called the Digital TrueFlow. It measures total system airflow. So it takes the place of the filter to do so. Now, Adam uses the true flow in the filter grill, and he measures pretty low airflow. Okay. And so he reaches out to me because he's like, man, this doesn't really add up with the fan curve chart. All right. What is the fan curve chart for homeowners? Here we go. A piece of equipment delivers airflow. We can take different methods to measure how much airflow is moving through the system with either you can use a fan curve chart, which is a chart built by the factory, factory meaning the people who built the piece of equipment. They basically put a clean piece of equipment on a chamber, and then that chamber has a flow measurement way of measuring flow downstream, and they benchmark all of this on a clean system and make a profile of it. That profile turns into a fan curve chart. That way you can go measure those same pressures on site and derive from that chart pressure equals flow, right? Now, it's not always super accurate. I call it a flow estimate, not a flow measurement. The chart itself will tell you that it takes 0.1 static pressure jumps for the techs in here, right? Now, we have a tool we've invented called a true flow. It takes the place of the filter and you measure flow. It does that in about the same exact way as the calibrated flow chamber works that is done at the factory for testing. Same methodology, right? Pressure drop, pressure drop. We use pressure drop across a known orifice plate, just the way the factory does it to measure flow. That being said, he takes a flow measurement, and the flow measurement on his house comes in really low. And when people call me with this question, and now I'm going to get like steer away from homeowner talk for just a second, but this is like tech support talk. When people call me and they say, hey man, true flow's reading low, fan curve chart's reading high, my first question is, how low is it reading? And anytime I hear 270 and below, I instantly go, my next question is, did you have a good refrigerant charge? Like, is your pressures looking wonky? And they're like, no, not really. I'm like, well, is it frozen up? And if the coil's not frozen, I'm like, right, you got massive return air duct leakage. Now, why do I say that with confidence? And I'm just gonna, man, I'm kind of like,
he had some wall cavity.
So let me see if I can pull a document.
And he I got a hold of him. He said he's right now he's getting dinner with the family, and he's gonna listen to the show tomorrow.
Selling us out. I hear you.
Yeah. Yep. I told him family first. Family first.
Anyway, so the app, a lot of people miss the details portion of the app. There's a page in the app that says details. When you click it, there's a list of instructions that most people don't dig into. But if you dig into it, it will have a hyperlink that says click here for more information. And it'll literally say, you probably have excessive return air duct leakage. It's like one of the call outs for that situation. Needless to say, moving forward, he had massive return air duct leakage, and he has since air sealed it, and I'm waiting on those results.
Oh, he did? Nice. Because I told him, I was like, yeah, man, I mean, I think I might even said you probably need to call Chris on that, because you got to get it close to the air handler. Yep. He said it's way up in the attic, so.
We've got our first hangout guest, Mr. Robin.
Hey.
What's up, my man?
Not much. Y'all doing all right?
We're doing all right. Tell us your story, Robin.
Oh, well, I wanted to jump on when you were talking about the return air pathways, and I was wondering where the return under the stairs kind of fell into that scheme of things.
Ooh. A really good question. Okay. I would say if the return air path runs under a stairway, and that stairway is not lined in sheet metal, and considered real ductwork material, then that would be considered a chaseway, meaning it would fall into acceptable by code for stud cavity and joist space plenum, but it would be allowed, but potentially not recommended. Here's what I would say though. I'm not saying it can't be done right. Like if you have it all sheetrocked and it's, taped sealed really good,
It's not.
floor,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's code.
Yeah.
then it's code, baby.
Yeah.
It's code.
I think we should start doing that as a hashtag. Like,
Yeah.
bad picture like of ductwork and go, it's code.
We definitely need a meme. That
Keep
passes
messing with
code.
this camera.
That passes code.
This
Or like
camera's killing
another
me.
slap sticker.
Yeah. So tell
It's
us, your story, Robin. What is this situation with the under the stairs? Is this your
Yeah, it's at my house. So, let's see here. Got a filter on two sides of the staircase, leading to that cavity. Nothing's lined. Nothing's cleaned up. It's just OSB 2x4 drywall. I mean, y'all,
Yeah.
the subfloor has got plenums running down the underneath to the crawl space, and then
I missed it. Where's your air handler or furnace?
in the crawl
Basement?
space.
Oh, it's in the crawl space. Okay.
Yep. And there's two. There's one for upstairs, one for downstairs. And so I've actually wanted to get the True Flow, and I've never tried the True Flow on this, and I've always kind of wondered with this application how that would even work too. If it's just like you rig it up to go into that hole in the floor essentially, or like do you put it in the filter slot, where that 25 by 25 drop-in filter goes? That's another one.
I may know a guy who could talk you through this one.
Yeah, right.
We'll do it right here, right now, live on the show. Why not? All right, so let's talk about this. You want to measure total system airflow in this system. So first and foremost, here's what I will say. The True Flow was originally invented as a commissioning tool, meaning it fell into a standard. If you've ever heard of standard 310, 310 is a process where you follow a process, meaning there's a design. The second step is duct leakage, and you get that under control. And then step 3 is total system airflow. Then it's blower system watt draw, and then refrigerant charge check, right? That's the 5 steps in order. So when it comes third, after the second, which being total duct leakage that you get under control, essentially duct leakage is out of play, and the True Flow should deliver a flow measurement without the need of duct leakage being an issue. Now, here's a little trick I've taught quite like a few people. In a way, you could look at this as a really good thing. If you have a filter grill and you have a filter slot, you could essentially measure live duct leakage. What I mean by that, you could run a True Flow test in the return grill, right? And then you could get a flow measurement. If you have a lot of return duct leakage, it'll be low. And then if you utilize the True Flow in the filter slot and run the test again, you'll get a flow measurement without the duct leakage, because the duct leakage will be coming into the plate, right? It's behind the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning you subtract those two numbers, you'll have a screening or a pretty good idea.
Nice. So you can screen.
I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect, like a perfect measurement. There is no, in my opinion, super perfect way to get like a return duct leakage measurement. But if you were to utilize it in that fashion, you could get pretty close to knowing how much return duct leakage you have. Does that make sense?
Just subtract the two.
Just subtract them. Yep. Run 2 tests.
Nice. I like it.
One right by the blower, one at the grill. Pull them away from each other. See what the gap is.
Dude, I'm going to make a video on that.
Robin,
smell a video.
To answer your question, you've got 2 filter grills.
Yeah, and they both lead to that same cavity.
Right. So
yeah, it's like duct or well, I'm drawing a blank, but the duct roll like cover one and then slap the True Flow in the other one.
Bingo. Yep. There's a workflow for that. You will when you're running the True Flow, you'll install the grid. It'll tell you, actually it'll prompt you to tell you what to do. But it'll essentially, you're going to remove the filters, blank off one of the returns. ideally the smallest one, and we kind of notate that in the app. And then you put the true flow in the larger main return. If they're the same size, it really doesn't matter at that point.
Mhm.
And you take one off and install it. So that's one way to do it, or really the only way to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, or you get a duck blaster.
Got that too. I haven't done it yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's another way to do it.
Yeah.
But then you're dealing with total duct leakage of the supply and the return, and not just the return.
That's true. Yeah.
Unless you take it another step and you actually take the doors off of the piece of equipment and maybe blank off both sides of the blower wheel and then put the door back on and then try to suck it down, then you could have a really good screening of what the return duct leakage would be. Does that make sense? Or did I go?
Yeah, not as much. No, I mean, well, let me back up one step further too.
Okay.
This house is 17 years old, I think. So like water heaters original, furnaces are original. Slowly and systematically want to electrify. So I'm in Colorado, so it's a little bit of a different animal out here. It's not like the South where y'all are already kind of been doing that since forever. But
makes sense for us. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So one thing being, if I got a furnace way on down in the crawl space, it's got to go up, 2 floors, and then through between the floor to the upper level. I'm on the fence as far as replacing that ducted unit or going ductless for the upstairs and then ducted downstairs, because I just assumed like the long duct runs, all the twists and turns, it would likely be too restrictive, and that's why I wanted to test with the True Flow to kind of make the call, and I just haven't gotten there yet.
You have a furnace now?
I've only ever had a furnace. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Man, you were, bro. Give me like 3 months.
Okay.
Because this is something I can talk about because it's kind of like a patented tool. So like what is to come is not like so hush hush because there's no competition. But I'm building in what's called forecasting, which means you will run a true flow test on what you currently have right now. And you will measure that flow. It doesn't matter if it's low or not. That's irrelevant. I need a benchmark of what you have, how that system is running. Once I have that piece of information, and you in the app will then tell me, I would like to forecast the system and see what that looks like. Okay?
Like a heat pump?
Like a heat pump, right? If you want to put in a heat pump. So I'm then going to ask you a few design criteria questions, nothing super challenging. And then you will have a simulator screen. And a simulator screen will allow you to change the pressure drops of the components. And you will already be set up for the nominal flow of a heat pump. So 400 CFM per ton is going to be carried over as your new design airflow. And then you'll have the main dials. If you've seen the True Flow tool before, you'll have the two big dials at the bottom, airflow and static. Those are going to have what we call interactive dials that are going to move for you. And they are going to show you the representation of the heat pump being installed based on your choices and the existing test. That's called forecasting, and it's going to be coming out pretty soon.
Is that like an AI integration or something?
Is it what?
Is it like an AI integration or just something y'all have programmed with the TEC?
Straight up programming it. We've been working on it for a while.
Nice.
Yep. It'll be free. It's part of the app. Yep, it's just built in. It'll be an update. Working on that one. Actually, that takes up most of my daily week time right now.
Okay.
So then you'll know if the ductwork can really handle a heat pump.
Back to why that's important. Okay.
Or you can go with ductless if you want,
So this
don't have a lot of humidity over there,
This goes back to tying this in with homeowners. So if you're homeowners and you're listening, check this out. Like, let's say this big push with all this IRA money's coming down the pipe to electrify your home, put in a heat pump, take your furnace out, and you're thinking, I don't want to rip my furnace out. I don't know. So there's two things you really have to ask yourself. One, what's the load on the house? And two, can my ductwork handle it? Right? Like that's two. Not only are you designing to the load, you're designing to the duct system. right? And if you can't replace your duct system because it's all in the walls, then maybe going non-ducted would be a better choice, right?
Have
You
you ever
don't-
had Have you ever had a house that was so bad that if you took care of the lower hanging fruit, like air sealing, really insulating it, that you could, in theory, lower the load so much that the existing ductwork would no longer be undersized? Have you seen that before?
Yes,
Okay.
that is very, very doable. And that is what weatherization companies around America, that's what they do.
Yeah.
They go into homes, drop the load, and make it work. Like that
Yeah,
is a
even-
part of their mission.
Even Brian Orr said that one time. He was like, "Hey, if I'm a half a ton under, I'll just throw insulation in the attic."
What they kind of have a problem with is that most of them don't do HVAC in house. They
Right.
use us, the HVAC contractors of the world, to do their work. The biggest problem they have is getting the HVAC contractors of the world to size according to the projected load of the targets they're going to hit. Why? Because we naturally are afraid of undersizing a piece of equipment. So that is a huge hurdle. That's
Definitely afraid.
Well, that's the dead horse that's been getting beaten here recently.
Oh,
Justifiably so.
Yep.
I'm sitting here.
These-
It's funny, guys. I'm sitting here on my iPad that I got specifically for conduit.
oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So if anybody's listening and you haven't gotten that in your own defense, just go ahead and get it.
Yeah.
Rob, you tell
Yeah.
them what conduit is so they can hear it.
Oh, okay. So it's a LiDAR tool that you can use with an iPad Pro. So you walk in, literally scan a house, and then it comes up with a 3D rendering, like in real time, and then generates a 2D floor plan. So you can use that as for your room by room and all that fun stuff. You can make rooms within the house, so you can figure out how many BTUs for heating and cooling per room with per floor, all that fun stuff. It takes into account the orientation of the home and where your windows are, the window sizing, all that fun stuff. And then if you wanted to, it's up to you if you wanted to pass that on to the homeowner or not. There's like a full manual J report that like a PDF you can generate and send to them, or like more of a consumer facing report that's a little bit more stripped down, and can send that to them, or just keep it for your records. But for doing like site visits and stuff like that, it has definitely sped things up a whole lot.
Yeah, and we had them on episode 55, right, Chris?
I don't know, but they've been on the show.
Yeah, Shelby's been making the rounds.
So I just want to try to simplify that for any homeowners who are watching. What Robin's saying is, you remember at the beginning of the show, we talked about the load, the manual J, ACA manual J part, where the load is coming into the house and we measure that. Then there's S and then there's D. That's the manual J part, where you figure out how much, load do you have against the home, so you know how much capacity to pick to put against that load.
Yeah, and in my opinion, that's better than paperwork because you're literally taking a 3D scan.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many errors and blueprints, and you had the cabana, oh you don't, oh it's on the plans, the load's in it, yada yada yada. We're actually taking a LiDAR scan of your house, or what's the other?
If you're a homeowner and you're watching, take a look at a few options. There's different ways to do it. So scan our video list if you're interested in getting a load done.
Yeah, episode 53 with Russ. He's got one.
Russ has a way of doing it. For homeowners and contractors.
I thought that was really cool hearing about that one, like DIY calculator.
Yep. So there's some options out there. They're all good. They're
DIY load calcs, I think he calls it.
Better than the one I cut my teeth on learning on. I'm not going to say who it was.
Oh, bro. Oh my goodness.
All right.
Dude, the technology is moving so fast. The more jealous I get every year that I'm not a new green guy in a trade.
Yeah, some shiny new Bluetooth tool to get.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, if I started with a TrueFlow grid with like a DG8, and a load calc software that was on my phone, come on, man.
Mike, there ain't one homeowner watching who knows what you just said.
I'm speaking Chinese. I keep forgetting we're talking to the homeowners tonight.
Robin, if you can hang out for just a minute, because you're in a climate that this next one applies to, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right. So
All right.
here we go. All right, let me ask you a question. Is your supply ductwork insulated?
Yes.
Okay. Then maybe this one doesn't apply to you. But you might have seen something like this.
Oh, I've probably seen something like this. Yeah.
Robin's seen a few things out there.
Here's a fun one. Surface temperature. Ducts that operate at temperatures exceeding 120 degrees shall have sufficient thermal insulation to limit the exposed surface temperature to 120 degrees. I just plucked this tonight. I've never read that code before, and that got my wheels turning. And I'm thinking, wouldn't that be like nearly all duct? Right? Like, wouldn't
all attic duct, right?
Well,
yeah. Any supply stuff, right?
Well, what about the equipment that, let's say, electric resistance or furnaces that are blowing hot air? I mean, essentially, there's many applications where that delta is going to potentially put you over 120 degrees. Maybe.
I would think, yeah. I mean, my mind immediately goes to furnaces and heating. So complete from y'all. But
Are they talking about internal or external, like attic location?
I think that they're saying that if you're going to have airflow that is raised to a temperature above 120 degrees internally in the duct, that is going to heat the metal or flex duct that it runs through.
Okay.
And then anything that metal duct or flex duct is exposed to and touching, that you need to make sure that you have some level of thermal insulation to make sure you do not transfer that heat to the neighboring material. Now, I would like to see more details under what thermal insulation means, because like somebody could say, well, wood is a thermal insulator.
yeah, dust.
And to a degree, maybe you could say that's true, right? But I'm kind of taking it more along the lines of, sounds like duct needs to be insulated to hold the heat in, right?
Yeah, definitely. They should have some little bullet point on there about slapping some mastic on there too.
Yeah,
Do
for
that all
sure.
the
Gotta get the pookie out.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a new guest, Robin. I'm going to let you go. Thanks
All
for
right.
coming on, sir.
Have a good one.
Appreciate you. All right. Oh, don't know how to. Let's see. Haven't
We're
had to
gonna
do
fire our IT guy.
it. There we go.
Oh, he's back. Welcome back.
What's happening?
JJ, what's going on?
What's happening, gentlemen?
Good to see you, man. You been good?
Yeah, I just got back from my yearly Colorado trip. I went with some buddies out to Red Rocks and caught a concert.
Nice.
Nice, man. Nice.
Just getting back into Arkansas, and it's starting to warm up. So we're going to be balls to the wall here with no cool calls coming up. There's lots of high humidity anyway.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You got any advice for homeowners? We're talking to homeowners this week.
Yeah. What's your homeowner story, Jason?
Homeowner story: choose the right contractor. Do some research. Find out who you're allowing into your house. If the bids if the bids that come in or proposals come in that are extremely out of range with the other ones, there's a reason. What are they leaving out?
They're leaving out that the equipment was stolen.
Well, did they? I want to jump on what Robin said. Conduit, Manuel J. Did somebody run a load on this house before they put this in there and inspect the entire system and not just the equipment, the house?
Dude,
everything.
that's gold. I mean, I appreciate you saying that. That's it right there. I mean, that's a
And
lot of
you're
good
in the
advice.
biggest. You're sitting in the biggest plenum of your system, your house. This big area. Check it out. Get somebody to look at it, man.
Yeah, don't be hiring no jamokes.
Jason, it's funny you were kind of going down that road. I've been watching a lot of Ben Reed's content, and it's got my wheels turning about how does the contractors who are doing the next level high performance work make themselves very transparent with the homeowners. I have been kind of putting a lot of thought behind that lately. And I'm going to kind of like throw an analogy out there.
All right.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's look at Walmart. Okay. Frankly, I hate going to Walmart. I don't go to Walmart. There's one in my town. Well, actually not my town, but there's one in the neighboring town. We never go. And I don't want to go. But they have everything. And if you go price something there, it will probably cost a little bit less, maybe a little bit less, maybe not, than, let's just say, where I would prefer to buy most of my vegetables, which is the fruit stand. Like we have I'm sure you guys have that, right? Like everybody's got a farmer's market fruit stand.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you, man, like the farmer's market that's by me, the building's huge, and it used to look like it was like this hammer down place you could get anything you wanted, right? And you go now, and there's only like it's sparse, right? There's a few things that are staples that are always going to be there, kind of, but it looks like it used to be so much more, and it's kind of dwindling down. And I look at that analogy, and I'm thinking, man, I really wish that fruit stand was like beefed up, and I could go buy all my stuff there, and I can't get it all there. And so I think about that, and I'm like, they have a couple locations, but they're family.
My fruit stand sells 55-inch TVs, so I don't know what you're talking about. Shout out to Young's Produce.
Right on, man. So here's what I could say. Private equity is probably coming. We've seen it coming in, and they're buying up small shops, lumping it together, making this huge business model. They win because they negotiate a purchasing deal with distribution, get the price super rock bottom as much as they can. Distributors hate it, right? Because they know they're selling volume for low dollars, and they have no choice but to just do it. Because if they don't, then the competitor gets it. So, private equity interest lumps that together. Don't get me wrong. It's a hell of a smart business strategy, right? Mm-hmm. Like they didn't do this because they didn't know economics. They did it for a reason. They lump it and they negotiate buying rights. Then they go to market, right? And they go to market hard, way harder than the small business owners.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a way against that. Like let's just say, look, I'm not trying to say I can't stand what's happening, right? Because there could be one division of that's like doing this with good intentions. I don't know. But I just like to see the playing field leveled. That's what I like to see in life, right? I like to everybody fight the same game.
But it's not going to happen. That's kind of an unreal expectation, I would say.
Potentially, or narrative change, and there's this push to say, how do we change the narrative? And I think we've already been there. We just haven't collectively changed the narrative. Meaning, if we could instill in the homeowners' brains that when somebody comes to your house to put a new piece of equipment in or make the sale, if most of the selling process is about the equipment and the sear and the inverter and if it's all equipment focused, then potentially you might have someone in your hands who doesn't really see the bigger picture.
Yes.
Right.
But that's probably one of the biggest challenges to overcome.
It is a humongous challenge to overcome. And I think if it has to be done, it has to be collectively done, meaning all of the high performance contractors of the world need to have the same message. Meaning, if Mike goes to someone's house and says, hey, I'd like to look at the shell of your house, I'd like to do a duct leakage test, and he goes down a rabbit hole with terms, and those terms are taken by the homeowners like, well, I didn't quite understand them. And then Jason Jewell walks into someone's house and goes, well, I want to do, duct leakage outside test. I'm going to do a blower door, or calls it an infiltration test or whatever. And y'all don't run with the exact same terminology, then y'all are not unified as small contractors talking the same language, which means globally, there's no unified message of what high performance or next level HVAC contractor work is.
I get it.
I don't do blower doors no more.
So I think what has to happen here
A
is
blower door is a tool.
blower
My
doors,
man.
but we have to all start speaking the same language.
I
I
agree.
mean, very, very specifically speaking the same language. That way it gets institutionalized at the homeowner level to where
Yeah.
they know what
I
that
agree.
means.
And we need to teach. I think we need to do more episodes like this. Talk to homeowners. You know,
Oh, I
no,
definitely agree.
Yeah.
Because homeowners have a better advantage than they had 20 years ago because now they can get as much information as they
Yep.
care to Google.
yeah,
And so it's really that's the difficult part is getting unified. So
Yeah.
I'm on board. Let's get
It's cool.
unified. Let's do the education. The problem is most of us that are doing this are small contractors. We don't have the big budget for advertising like the other ones do. Like you said, they're going
It
to
is
come at
true.
it hard. They're going to
Yeah.
come in. They're going to buy up all the airspace, all the billboards, all the stuff, and people are going to know them, and they're going to go with them. And they are not. I was a homeowner once before I got in this trade, and I got duped. Some jackleg, some jamoke came over and sold me a new box. 8 months later, it's summer in Arkansas, and it's 85 degrees in my house, and I'm like scratching my head like I got a brand new unit. What's going on? This thing's brand new. But I
So-
didn't realize my duct work was put together with duct tape, which is the worst thing for duct work. Some of the vents were falling down. My return was in the wrong spot because it was pulling air directly below my attic fan, pulling 140-degree air out of the attic.
that's a good one.
It was a floor return that was undersized.
Wow.
And it's pulling directly out of the attic. But I was a naive homeowner. I just trusted him. Somebody said, "Oh, this guy does good work." He sold me a box, and I never heard from him again, ever.
Yeah.
He got the money, and he's gone, and he wouldn't answer the phone when I'm having really hot summers, and we're
He
pissed
never
off
wants to
'cause
do the maintenance, right?
yeah. So that's what I take with me when I meet with a homeowner. I share my own personal stories of, hey, look,
Yeah.
we're not going to be competing on the same level as some of these. They're going to come in with a low price and they're going to change your boxes. But look, let's look at these other things and we ask them the right questions. It's just getting in front of the homeowners to do it because they also have their $29 tune-up fee and they come in and they leave with a $15,000 2-ton condenser unit sold. You know what I'm saying?
I love those $20 tune-ups. Those are great.
Well, what I'm saying is that they've got the market, and people are like, "Oh, this is a big company. They're cheaper than these other guys. They must know what they're doing," and they don't. And homeowners get duped, and then they look at us like crooks for charging a proper amount.
Yeah. And then we all get a bad rap for it. It's crazy. I don't get that. Like there's a couple of bad eggs in no matter what industry, but like, geez, man. It's rough out there.
Well, I'm even having issues in my local area. So I signed up with one supplier up here, and they told me I'd be the only distributor in this area of a certain brand because it was special, had a special warranty and all that kind of stuff. And we did more in sales last year than we did the previous year with them.
Nice.
We did about $50,000-$60,000 more in 23 than we did in 22.
Good.
And then I go up there, and they've got two other people. They're selling the same equipment that they promised me. I'd be the only one here to do it. And they're like, well, we have all this inventory we got, and you're just not moving. I said, I didn't tell you to get $400,000 worth of equipment up here. I just told you that we would be selling it, and we'd be the only one here. And now they're like, well, we're going to sell to these other guys. Not at your price, though. I'm like, but anyway.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thanks. You told me I'd be the only one in this area.
Yeah.
We're doing good. We increased our sales from last year. I push and drive, and I show real pictures. I don't put their logo on my truck or anything like that because I sell Julian brand, not a manufacturer. But they're like, well, you know, we've got all this inventory. We really want to sell to this. I'm like, so that's the other thing I'm being hit hard on in my area is now I don't have it's not a specialty on just a brand. But because I had that was putting me in a different class in my own little area. Anyway.
Yeah.
But it
and
happens.
did they pull back tech support a little bit too when you're not moving boxes?
No, they didn't do that. They have a really good local tech guy that will come up anytime we want.
Cool.
We'll answer his phone on the weekend. They're really good at that. But
That's cool. That's cool.
they're selling to my competitors who I know are selling less, for much less because they're giving the customer much less. They're using the old line set, even if it's undersized. They're selling them on the warranty, but it's like that unit will probably have to use the lifetime unit replacement warranty because the compressor is
Right.
going to go out on that unit because it's,
No vacuum.
certain brands, even their 3 tons need a 7/8 line and they're putting it in on a 5/8 quarter, suction liquid. And well, it's got a lifetime warranty. And well, this other guy can sell it too. This other guy gave me the same exact equipment that you did and you're $4,000 more. I'm like, whoa, check it out. Look at my contract. We're replacing this. We're upsizing your ductwork.
Yep.
We're sealing it. We're doing all these things. Well, man, I just don't have that kind of money. He's got the same exact unit, same warranty, and he's $4,000 less.
So
And that's the area that I'm running into.
Oh man, I do the same. I run at the same thing, man.
So unfortunately we are out of time. But Jason, here's what I want to close the show with this statement. Okay, if you're a homeowner and you're listening to this show, the unit that you buy, don't get me wrong, there's an importance level to that, but it is the work around the unit, the manual J, the manual S, the manual D, like you've heard on this show.
Yep.
That's worth way more than the unit itself. And if that's not done right, then you basically bought a Pinto.
Yep.